It is February 1258. The waters of the Tigris River are no longer clear. They run black with ink and red with blood. Baghdad, once the most powerful city on earth, is now a mountain of ash. The Mongols have arrived. This is not an army. This is a scourge of God. In the last 40 years, they have conquered more land than Rome did in centuries. They have never lost a single open field battle. And now they turn their gaze west, toward Egypt, toward Europe, toward us. If they take this last stronghold in Egypt, the gates to Africa and Europe will shatter. There will be no king, no sultan, no army left to stop them. Except for one man, a man who was not born a king, a man who, as a child, was sold as a slave for a handful of silver coins. Pause for effect. Think about it. How does a single slave stop the greatest storm the world has ever seen? You are going to witness the most critical day in the history of the Middle East. You will see how a single psychological trick forced the world's deadliest army to its knees. And you will realize that the world you breathe in today, your faith, your language, your nations, only exist because for 10 hours on that day, history held its breath. I know, you think of Mongols as just savages on horses, but you are wrong. They were the most intelligent military force in history. But on September 3rd, 1260, they were about to walk into a trap so brilliant it is still taught in military academies today. The slaves who saved the world. To understand the fear, you must understand the scale of the Mongol annihilation. When they took a city, they didn't just win. They erased humanity. In the city of Nishapur, they slaughtered so many that it took 12 days just to count the corpses. And their leader was this man. His name was Kitbuka. He was a genius. Kitbuka was not a mindless beast. A Christian warlord who believed destroying the caliphate was his divine duty. He had never tasted defeat. He believed the Mongols were invincible because the whole world told him they were. Standing against this hurricane was Sultan Kutuz. In Turkish, the name Kutuz translates to the vicious dog, a name given to him by his masters when he was a slave. He was a Mamluk, a special caste of warrior slaves trained from birth for only one purpose: to kill or to die. Summer 1260, Kitbuka sends a letter to Sultan Kutuz. The letter still exists in history today. The words are enough to stop your heart. It read, "We have destroyed the earth. We are the wrath of God. Surrender and you might live. Fight and you will return to the dust." His advisors begged him to run. Hide in North Africa, they said. But Kutuz knew, if he ran, Islam falls, Egypt falls. He drew his sword and sliced the messenger's head clean off. He hung that head on the gates of Cairo. He wasn't just declaring war, he was inviting death to dinner. Kutuz makes a decision that looks like madness. He does not defend Cairo. He marches out to meet the Mongols. He chooses the battlefield, Ain Jalut, the spring of Goliath. Remember that name. It is no coincidence. Kutuz had a secret weapon, his general Baibars. If Kutuz was the brain, Baibars was the muscle. He knew every inch of the desert. Together they designed a plan that relied entirely on the Mongols' greatest weakness, their arrogance. The trap was set. Kutuz hid his main army deep behind the hills, invisible to the eye. In the open valley, he sent Baibars with a small force. Think of it like fishing. Baibars was the bait, the hidden army was the hook, and Kitbuka was the starving shark. The Mongols attacked. 10,000 Mongol riders smashed into Baibars' men. The Mamluks fought, but they looked weak. Baibars signaled the retreat. They turned their horses and ran. This was the moment. Kitbuka laughed. He thought, another easy victory. He ordered his entire army to chase them. They followed them deeper and deeper, right into the heart of the valley, right where Kutuz was waiting. And then Kutuz gave the signal. From the hills, thousands of Mamluk cavalry thundered down. Baibars, who was running, suddenly stopped and turned around. The hunter had become the hunted. But the story doesn't end here, because the Mongol were still Mongols. Even surrounded, they fought with such ferocity that the Mamluk lines began to The soldiers were terrified. They felt they were fighting demons. Some started to flee. Kutus saw the battle slipping away. If one man ran, they would all run. In that moment, he did something immortal. He ripped off his helmet and threw it to the ground. His face exposed to the arrows in the sun. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "Wa Islama! Oh my Islam!" And he charged, alone, straight into the center of the Mongol horde. Seeing their sultan charge toward his own death, the fear in the Mamluks vanished. Their shame turned into fury. They turned back. They struck the Mongols with the force of an earthquake. For the first time, for the very first time in history, the Mongol army began to retreat. Kitbuka was captured, but even in chains, his eyes held no fear. He looked Kutus in the eye and said, "Kill me, but know this. When my emperor hears of this, he will turn this entire land into a graveyard." Kutus swung his blade. The army that could not be defeated was dead. The Mongols never returned to Egypt. Because of that one day, because of those 10 hours, the heart of the Islamic world continued to beat. Why does this matter to you? Because while Europe was in the Dark Ages, Cairo remained a beacon of science and knowledge. That knowledge later traveled to Europe and sparked the Renaissance. If Kutus had run away that day, all those books, all that science would have been ash. History rarely gives us a happy ending. The man who saved the world never got to enjoy the victory. On the way back to Cairo, Kutus was betrayed and assassinated by his own general, Baibars. Baibars wanted the throne. History is cruel. It does not always reward the hero, but the next time someone tells you defeat is certain or the enemy is too strong, remember Ain Jalut. Remember the day a slave stopped the end of the world. If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch The Fall of Constantinople, where another impossible battle changed history forever.